Hey guys, my name is Keshav and I recently appeared for this English language test called PTE. It was not a difficult test, but it was not easy either. And in my very first attempt, I was able to secure overall 90 out of 90. And I thought, why not make a video and share some of my experience and my thinking process, my approach, and maybe help people who are preparing for this test and who don't know what to expect from this test or how to get a better score. One of the very first thing that was very confusing for me was I consider my English to be decent, meaning I've studied English all my academic life and I've been working as a software engineer and I work with people all around the world, and the language that we all use to communicate with one another is English. So I was very skeptic about the fact that whether or not I should be preparing it exhaustively, or how should I even approach this particular test. So I was a bit in a dilemma. I used to practice somewhere around half an hour every other day, and at one point of time I would be frustrated with the test itself because sometimes I would feel it's a bit repetitive or it's a bit mundane, and that is again my personal opinion of the test, but it was a necessity because I want to pursue further studies in an English speaking country, but I'm not a native speaker of the language. So as a non-native speaker of English language, it's necessary for us to establish a benchmark through these English tests such as IELTS and PTE. And initially I was planning to give IELTS exam, but two of my friends who gave this exam convinced me to give PTE instead of IELTS because of the simplicity, and also because this particular test gives your result in just couple of hours opposed to couple of weeks in case of IELTS, and they were encouraging me to give it as soon as possible. And the thing was, I started practicing in December. I would sit for mock test for 10-15 minutes every other day, or practice for maybe around half an hour. I would also study the test format, how the test is divided into those four main sections, and the weightage of those sections into the final score. One of the big problem that I faced was I would procrastinate my practice sessions, and because I was procrastinating on my practice sessions, I was not booking a date, and because I did not book a date, I was not preparing very well. That's a classic chicken or the egg problem. So in March, 3 months later, I decided I don't want to skip this September intake. I don't want to be late to apply. I booked a date 10 days in advance and then I started practicing. And the very first thing that I did was I panicked because I paid for a test that I was not completely ready for, and it was due in 10 days, and I had an active full-time project that I was looking after at that time. So I panicked. I started devouring the resources that was there online. I took many mock tests one after another, but I could not finish any of those tests because I felt they were mundane to a certain degree, and I thought I could handle them pretty well in the test itself. So I would practice a couple of questions for every other sections and move on through the test. So that is pretty much how I prepared for this test. But I should also mention you that the prevalence of Western culture is very prominent in our current societies. So I think we all are exposed to English and somewhat of a greater extent than we were before. And on top of that, I'm constantly using it all the time. I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks as well. I occasionally read books, and I have this habit of learning new words while watching movies and series. And if I find any word or a phrase that I don't understand, I immediately Google it and I try to understand what the meaning of that particular word or the phrase is, so that I can better understand that particular context or the situation. Back in the college, I used to screenshot those Google results and keep it in a folder which I would revisit every once in a while. And I also should mention you that I was briefly engaged as a college tutor, lecturer. So before the classes, I would always prepare the notes. I would prepare how I would deliver that to the class, and it really helped to boost my speaking skills. I occasionally make videos on YouTube. I write my scripts. I do voiceovers, and even in my free time, I write a lot. Every once in a while, if I have some sort of a thought, writing it down helps me to clear those thoughts from my head. I think I'm just rambling at this point. So when the time came for me to prepare for this test, I said to myself that I've been practicing reading, writing, speaking, or listening to English all my life. So I should not be panicking at all. I have learned this language my whole life. I should definitely understand the format of the test. But other than that, I should just be free and give this test in a relaxed manner. And please take this advice with a grain of salt, because it may not be applicable to everyone. Maybe you struggle with your English. If that's the case, then please take English classes. It's not going to be easy, but that does not mean that it's not possible. You just need to understand that you're giving a test where you need to establish your benchmark. You need to establish how well you understand this particular language. And I think that's all there is to understand about this test. I might be preaching to the choir here, but French writer André Gide once said, "Everything that needs to be said has already been said, and since no one was listening, everything must be said again." So what's the one piece of advice that I would like for you to take away from this video is understand the test. I mean, really understand the test, and just don't prepare for the test. Learn the language as if you really mean it, because once you get the score, once you get your visa and go to that particular country, no matter how much you score in the test, you will have to communicate with the people that are over there. Don't think of bypassing this test would help or make your life easier. Instead, maybe focus on learning the language seriously so that it would help you all your life. Hey guys, Keshav here. This is the future me. I've been editing the video for a while, and I realized there were a few mistakes there were a few things that I left to mention. So I just want to take a few more minutes and clarify a few things that I think are vital for preparation of this test. The first thing is I made substantial amount of mistakes. I made few mistakes here and there in different sections. The first one was in some section where I did not know the answer, I guessed. And there were some instances during the fill in the blanks where I did not know any answer and I wanted to play it safe, so I did not fill any wrong answers over there. And in speaking section, there were times when I fumbled the pronunciation of even the normal words, maybe because I was nervous, and I think there was one time where I did not hear what the audio said clearly, and I just made my own sentence right then and there. So if the sentence said, alternate practicing scene, I said, practicing scene. Something like I tried to mimic the audio. I don't know how well I delivered that. I don't know if it makes sense to you or not, but my main point is I made some mistakes over there. And since this whole process is automated and is carried out by an algorithm, it's safe to say, based on my experience, is that it's not binary in nature. It's not like 100 marks exam where if you make a mistake of a 1 mark question, you get 99. So it's not very mathematical. It sort of analyzes your whole performance and tries to give you an overall score. So it's safe to say that you can make some mistakes here and there, and the algorithm will rate you based on your overall performance rather than focusing on your one tiny mistake or some mistakes that you did here and there. And when I was editing and watching the video, it seemed like I was a very confident person saying, do this, do that, and you'll be good, you'll get 90 out of 90. But in hindsight, when I was giving the test at that test center, I was very nervous. I might sound confident on camera right now over here because I have crossed that phase. But if I try to remember the series of events that happened, I was actually a bit nervous, and whenever I would make some mistakes, I would panic a little bit. But then again, I would try to calm myself down so that that particular mistake would not affect the rest of my performance. So it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to make few mistakes here and there. Don't be so hard upon yourself. Try to relax. Try to stay calm as long as possible and give your best. And I wish good luck. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do all that YouTube has. And I'll see you guys in the next video.